So take a look at this. It's pretty shaky, right? Nighttime footage apparently leaked from the prep for a military parade in Baku, Azerbaijan. And yeah, at first glance, you're probably just seeing a few military trucks. But what they're carrying, that is the real story here.
Because hiding right there, in plain sight, is a weapon system so advanced that the minute it shows up in a new country, well, it sends these massive shockwaves through the entire global arms market. So, let's start with the event that really kicked this whole thing off. It was a completely unexpected reveal, and it has defense analysts everywhere just buzzing.
So, on November 4th, this footage confirmed what, until then, was really just a rumor. Azerbaijan got its hands on China's premier long-range air defense system, the HQ-9BE. And with that, they just became the newest member of a very exclusive club.
All right, so let's get into it. What exactly is the HQ-9BE? And why is it such a massive deal when it shows up somewhere new? Let's unpack the tech.
To put it simply, the HQ-9BE is basically China's most advanced air defense system that they're willing to sell to other countries. Its whole job is to create this huge invisible shield, a protective bubble really, over a country's most important sites. And it can knock threats out of the sky from absolutely incredible distances.
And when I say incredible distances, I am not kidding. We're talking about a maximum range of 260 kilometers. Just think about that. That's far enough to hit a target that's way over the horizon, long before it could ever even think about becoming a real threat.
But it's not just about how far it can reach, it's about how fast it gets there. The missiles themselves, they're screaming along at over Mach 4. That's more than 4 times the speed of sound. And that kind of speed is absolutely essential if you want to have any chance of intercepting the fastest threats out there today, like fighter jets and cruise missiles.
Okay, now this number is really interesting. It's not how many missiles are on a truck. No, this is the number of separate targets a single battery can take on at the exact same time. It can guide 16 missiles to hit 8 different incoming threats simultaneously. That makes it ridiculously hard to overwhelm.
And this thing is a true jack of all trades. We're not just talking about shooting down airplanes. It's designed to handle a whole menu of aerial threats. Everything from those tricky, hard-to-hit cruise missiles all the way up to tactical ballistic missiles.
You see, a modern air defense network isn't really about just one magic system. It's more like a sports team, right? You've got different players with different jobs. The HQ-9BE, that's your all-star goalie. It handles the really distant, high-altitude threats. Meanwhile, you've got other, shorter-range systems to deal with anything that manages to get closer. The HQ-9BE can even act as the team captain, coordinating the whole defense.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture here. Azerbaijan, they're not the first country to see how powerful this system is. Nope, they're just the latest name on a list that seems to be growing faster and faster.
And this timeline really paints the picture. It started with an earlier version going to Morocco back in 2020. Then, Pakistan confirmed they had it in 2021. And then, look at 2025. A huge jump with both Egypt and now Azerbaijan joining the club. The pace at which countries are snapping up this high-end Chinese tech, it's definitely speeding up.
So that leads to the big question, right? Why are these countries buying the Chinese HQ-9BE when they could go for the big names, like the American Patriot or the Russian S-400? Well, it really boils down to a few key things.
First up, and this is a big one, the price. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not cheap. We're talking about an estimated $1.5 billion for a full regiment. But, and this is the key, that's way more affordable than its main American and Russian competitors. It's a price that suddenly puts top-tier air defense within reach for a whole new group of countries.
And this chart really just lays it all out, nice and simple. Look at performance. The HQ-9BE is right there in the same league as the Patriot and the S-400. But then check out the bottom 2 rows. You get that same kind of high-end performance for a much lower price. And maybe most importantly, you get it without all the political strings and restrictions that almost always come attached when you buy top-shelf weapons from the US or Russia.
So, what does all of this actually mean on a global scale? Because this is way bigger than just one country buying some new missiles. What we're seeing is a fundamental shift in the whole international arms market, and with it, a shift in global influence.
So here's the bottom line. This trend pretty much cements China's place as a top-tier player in the global arms business. It gives countries a third option, a way to build really powerful, modern defenses without having to tie themselves to either Washington or Moscow. And that is actively changing the strategic game in critical regions all over the world.
You know, for decades, the question of who controlled the skies had a pretty simple answer. But now, with powerful, affordable, and politically no-strings-attached systems like the HQ-9BE entering the market, that old, simple answer just doesn't work anymore. And it leaves us with a really critical question to think about for the future.